News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
The graduates get ready to walk. Good morning, it's John King filling in for Peter Christian, who's taking the day off today. Your newscast brought to you by Dig It Excavation, bringing 30 years of excellence to every job. For all of your excavation needs, call 214-4292. The University of Montana's 120th commencement exercises will begin at 10 tomorrow morning inside Washington Grizzly Stadium. Registrar Joe Hickman has details.
We're going to have the main ceremony for commencement. It'll be starting at 10 a.m. in Washington Grizzly Stadium. Graduates will line up out here on the oval starting around 8:45 in the morning, and we have a big procession. We'll lead all the dignitaries and students and faculty down to the stadium, and the ceremony kicks off at 10 o'clock, usually lasts a little bit over an hour.
Hickman addresses the parking situation with the construction of the new Champion Center next to the stadium.
There's going to be lots of parking. There's going to be some limited parking with the construction going on around the stadium, but we have a swath of disability parking set up, and there's going to be golf carts running all over campus to move people around to the ceremony. If anybody's mobility impaired, there'll be a golf cart there to get them where they need to be.
All in all, 3,088 students will be receiving nearly 3,500 degrees, with between 1,500 and 2,000 receiving their degrees at the stadium, and the remainder at individual ceremonies later in the day. The ceremony will be held rain or shine in the stadium, so visitors are encouraged to dress for the weather. We'll have the weather update coming up, but you might want to bring something to block the rain. By the way, I had to look up the commencement speaker this year. That's World Bank Group Senior Manager Jennifer Eisern. So that's who we'll be talking. Donald Trump Jr., the president's son, urged voters at an East Helena rally to support Republican Greg Gianforte in the upcoming special election for Montana's U.S. House seat. He said Thursday that sending Gianforte to Washington will help advance his father's agenda. It was Donald Trump Jr.'s second foray into Montana, leading up to the May 25th special election to fill the seat for Ryan Zinke, who joined President Donald Trump's administration as Interior Secretary. The other candidates are Democrat Rob Quist and Libertarian Mark Wicks. A pair of protesters demanding to see the president's tax returns were escorted out. Trump Jr. was also scheduled to campaign on behalf of Gianforte in Butte, Great Falls, and Sydney on Thursday. Vice President Mike Pence is scheduled to rally for Gianforte at 6 p.m. on Friday at Metro Park in Billings. Western Montana has been extremely wet this spring, and fire season may seem like it's a long ways off, but the Missoula Rural Fire Department Captain Michael Bowman says crew had to run into a out-of-control controlled burn this week.
Missoula Rural Fire and DNRC were dispatched to Forest Hill Lane about 3:30 for a controlled burn, permitted burn that had got out of control from the people that were there. When we arrived, we had about a half or three-quarter acre in size, and one structure was threatened initially. We provided a fast attack on that fire approaching the structure.
The structure in this case is a home, which Bowman says was only about 10 feet away from the fire. Thankfully, firefighters were able to douse it in a few minutes.
Early in the season, and I guess the one thing that we would like to stress to people is that, it may seem like it's pretty early in the season and that people aren't concerned about wildfire threats, but the ground might still be moist. The fuel's above ground. It only takes a couple of warm days like we've been having to dry things out.
The fire in this case was a grass fire that had caught onto some overgrown vegetation. Bowman recommends folks doing controlled burns to be extra careful and to try burning little areas at a time instead of doing one large burn. Montana Governor Steve Bullock vetoed 10 more bills Thursday, including one that would have allowed residential subdivision developers to resume drilling multiple small water wells from the same water source without a permit. That bill would have reversed a Montana Supreme Court ruling in a lawsuit over concerns that too many unregulated wells were being drilled in growing areas where water resources were limited, particularly in Gallatin and Ravalli counties. Another bill Bullock vetoed Thursday would have barred cities and towns from fining people more than $100 from using their cell phones while driving. Libertarian Mark Wicks is running against Democratic candidate Rob Quist and Republican candidate Greg Gianforte for Montana's lone U.S. House seat, but he says a lack of media coverage of his campaign is making for a tough political fight.
Well, I think they've been doing a real poor job. I had a really good performance in the debate. People have been really excited about it. But Sunday morning, you had to read to the very end of the newspaper article to even find out I was there. So people didn't even know what happened. And 3 out of the 4 commentators at the end said I had the win for the debate.
Wicks believes that an entrenched bias is swaying media away from covering him properly.
Well, I think it's the two-party bias. They're protecting the parties. It's hard to get around. It's hard to get articles ran or even get asked my opinion on stuff. They ask the other 2 candidates and then gloss over me.
Wicks isn't alone in his grievances with Montana's treatment of third-party campaigns. Lawsuits have been filed on behalf of the Green Party to get onto the ticket, and historically no third party has had success in attaining a major office in Montana. Few radio ads during the 2016 political race were as divisive as a series of ads produced by candidate Robert Myers in his race against Judge Jeffrey Langton. Langton eventually won the Ravalli County District Judge race, but ads like this one, titled Liquor Langton, have spurred further lawsuits.
Liquor Langton, ooh, he's a coke-snorting, meth-buying, drunken judge. Has a 13-year-old bring him drugs. First he blew a .19 and acted like it was no crime.
You get the idea. In late April, Langton filed a criminal defamation case against Myers over claims made during the campaign, but Myers is countering by challenging Montana's law in federal court. Myers' attorney, Matthew Monfort, explains.
The statute that Judge Langton is relying on is patently unconstitutional, and there's no way to see this effort by Judge Langton and local law enforcement as anything other than an attempt to intimidate witnesses that Myers is trying to use to defend himself in the attorney disciplinary proceedings.
The case is now shifting into a fight over the extent of free speech, as Myers seeks to have Montana's criminal defamation laws thrown out.
Montana is one of the few states in the country that still has a criminal defamation statute on its books. The reason that most states have gotten rid of criminal defamation statutes is because they are routinely abused by government officials to punish or silence their political opponents. And that's exactly what Judge Langton is attempting to do to my client.
The Ravalli County Sheriff's Department is reportedly currently